They didn't scream. They didn't shame me. They simply left me out. Quietly. Cleanly. It began with a group chat, a conversation I never knew existed. A dinner was being planned. Saturday night. Somewhere upscale. Sloane's Grill by the river, that stylish place with the wine wall and leather booths. It was my mother's birthday. And it was family only. I found out from my younger brother, Caleb. He texted me like it was no big deal, like this exclusion was normal. Hey, just FYI, Mom's birthday thing this weekend is kinda just for close family. Hope that's cool. Close family. Those two words sat on my screen like a punch that hadn't fully landed. I must have read them 10 times. Typed out a response. Erased it. Wrote another one. Deleted that too. Eventually, I sent just one line. Did you mean to leave me out? He never replied. Instead, 2 hours later, my sister Delia did. She's 2 years younger than me. Lives in our small, slow hometown of Pine Hollow, North Carolina. Divorced. 2 kids. Works part-time as a teaching aide at the same elementary school we both once walked barefoot to on spring mornings. Her response? Let's not make this about you, Harper. That was it. No warmth. No explanation. Just dismissal served cold. I didn't reply, not because I didn't have the words. I had plenty. But I had finally learned there's no point throwing words at people who've already built walls with theirs. My name is Harper Quinn, 34 years old. Co-founder of SkyRail Dynamics, a predictive traffic optimization firm based out of Portland. We build models to help cities untangle congestion to save time, reduce carbon emissions, and make supply chains smarter. In my world, the one I crafted from grit and vision, I'm needed. Respected. Listened to. But in the town I came from, I'm a name people only remember when it's convenient. So no, I didn't plead for an invite. But I booked a flight. Because when silence becomes this loud, it demands a reply. I left Pine Hollow when I was 22. No savings. A glitchy laptop. 2 weathered suitcases. And a one-way train ticket to the Pacific Northwest. My father didn't hug me. My mother packed me a sandwich, turkey and Swiss on whole wheat. No note. At the time, I told myself that sandwich meant something. That it was enough. I moved into a crumbling studio above a fish market. The smell woke me up before the sun did. I borrowed a futon from a girl I met at a coding boot camp. Waited tables. Took night classes. Built prototypes in bus terminals. I wrote algorithms in laundromats and co-working spaces with broken chairs. I worked like someone who was being chased by time, by bills, by the ghosts of being overlooked. Delia stayed. She married someone local, Ryan, a church-going, strong-jawed man who sold flooring and spoke mostly in nods. They had their first son at 24. The second came just 2 years after. I sent baby books, toys, gift cards. Delia never replied. Mom always did, brief thank you notes, proper grammar, no emojis. Appreciation without affection. That Christmas, I tried coming home. They said the boys had the flu. Said it wasn't a good time. By 29, I co-founded SkyRail with an old professor and a former logistics dispatcher I met through a startup pitch event. We built our first software model using public data and refurbished servers from an auction. It crashed more often than it ran. But when it ran, it moved mountains. We helped a delivery company cut $60,000 in fuel costs within 3 months. Then the phone rang. Then the articles came. Tech blogs. Green city planners. Even a blurb in Wired. Back home, they still thought I worked with computers. My dad once told a neighbor, "She does something with maps and traffic lights or whatever. Honestly, it's over my head." It always was. The year Delia got divorced, her finances collapsed. Missed payments. Credit cards maxed out. She didn't tell me. She told Mom one night in that late-night hush people use when the pain feels like a confession. Mom passed the message along quietly. No direct request. Just a tone that hinted enough. That same evening, I wired $9,000. No one ever thanked me. Not in person. Not in writing. But a month later, Delia posted a photo on Facebook. Her and the boys in front of a used SUV with a caption. Fresh starts, one road at a time. God provides. No tags. No name drops. But there was the car, same license plate I'd seen on the loan paperwork. That was when I knew. I hadn't been disowned. Not in an official way. I'd been deleted. Erased. Silently. Thoughtfully. Over time. And the first finger to press delete was hers. Monday morning arrived like it always did, sharp, early, and caffeinated. At Skyrail, we hold team syncs at 6:30 sharp, no fluff, just action items. After the meeting, Lena from HR caught me by the elevators. Your noon onboarding has 5 new hires. One's from North Carolina, actually. Name's Miles Denton. I paused. The name tugged at something faint. Like a melody I hadn't heard since childhood. Then it hit. Delia's boyfriend. The one from her holiday photos. Flannel shirts. Easy grin. Looked like he belonged in a Folgers commercial. The one the family called dependable. Lena handed me his profile. His in junior analytics. Background in civil engineering pivoted into modeling last year. 15 minutes later, I stepped into the onboarding room. 5 new faces. Stiff shoulders. Polished shoes. One of them flinched slightly when I introduced myself. Good morning. I'm Harper Quinn, co-founder and COO. Welcome to Skyrail. Miles. His jaw twitched. His pen stopped mid-air. He said nothing for the entire session. When the rest filed out, he lingered. Miss Quinn, I mean Harper. Harper's fine, I said. Unless you plan to make things difficult. A flicker of a smile escaped my lips. He chuckled nervously, hands buried in his pockets. I didn't know. I mean, Delia never mentioned you ran the company. She doesn't mention me much at all. He nodded slowly. Guess I didn't connect the dots. I tilted my head, waiting. Is it weird that I'm here? Working for you, I mean. Only if you make it weird. That eased him. His shoulders relaxed. I really wanted this job. You're doing incredible work. Then focus on that, I said. And you'll be just fine. As he walked out, I felt something shift. Not in him. In me. Someone from their world had stepped into mine and didn't flinch. By Thursday, the photo appeared. Delia's Facebook. Public. No tags. Mom. Beaming. Surrounded by gold balloons in the shape of 60. Captioned. Can't wait to celebrate this incredible woman on Saturday. Family is everything. 39 comments in the first hour. Old church ladies. Cousins. Neighbors. She looks amazing. All the sisters back together again. Save me a slice of lemon cake. I scrolled until my thumb hurt. No one asked where the firstborn was. No one said wish you were here. I hadn't been forgotten. I'd been removed. There's a difference. Forgetting is what happens by accident. Erasing is deliberate. Surgical. I stared at that post until the screen dimmed. Then I stood up. Went to my closet. Pulled out my navy suit, the one I hadn't worn since our last investor summit. Pressed it myself. Booked a flight to Pine Hollow. Not out of revenge. Not to prove a point. I just needed them to see. Not a company bio. Not a LinkedIn update. Me. Not the version they remember. The one I became. They didn't ask me to show up. But I wasn't going to let absence write the ending this time. I checked into a quiet low-rise lodge just outside the edges of Halebridge. the kind of town where the streetlights still hum and the sidewalks remember your shoes. The place wasn't fancy. It didn't try to be. A clean bed. A working lamp. Silence that didn't ask to be earned. I answered a few work messages, ironed out a wrinkle in my suit, and placed a plain white envelope on the nightstand. No name. No label. Just intention. Inside were 2 first-class tickets to Anchorage. Years ago, maybe 3 decades now, my mother had once said she wanted to see the Northern Lights. It was casual, over a chipped mug of discount tea and soggy toast. She said, "I'd like to see them one day before these knees quit on me." She probably forgot. But I didn't. I never forget what people say when they think no one's really listening. Westman's Chop House hadn't changed since I was 17 and awkward in heels. Same maroon awning. Same polished oak doors. Same looped piano cover playing like a scratched memory. I arrived just after 7. The hostess blinked when I gave my name. Looked down at the list. A pause. Then a smile. Right this way, private room toward the back. The laughter found me before the room did. Forks against china. Ice cubes clinking in fancy glasses. That distinct soundtrack of people who never once asked who wasn't there. Then I stepped in. My mother was seated in the center, wrapped in a deep violet dress that caught the candlelight. Her smile was real, earned even. My father was beside her, arms folded like a man posing for his own statue. To her left, Delia. Her 2 sons were bouncing slightly in their chairs, cheeks red with frosting and anticipation. And at the far corner, quiet as a thought, Miles. He saw me first. Didn't flinch. Didn't look away. The room didn't freeze. It fragmented. One cousin raised an eyebrow. An uncle stopped mid-chew. Voices slowed like someone had turned the volume dial. And then, of course, him. My father's voice, louder than it needed to be, carved through the tension like a blade. "Well, look who decided to grace us with her presence." I didn't look at him. Not once. I walked straight to my mother. Calm. Unbothered. Measured. I leaned down, placed the envelope in front of her. "Happy birthday, Mom," I said gently. "I hope it's as breathtaking as you are." She blinked as if she couldn't quite believe I was real. Her hands hovered over the envelope like it was glass. She opened it carefully. Inside, the tickets. Her lips parted. A quiet inhale. "Alaska," she whispered, voice shaking. I nodded. "You told me once you'd always wanted to go. I thought maybe it was time." She looked like she might break in half from joy, not grief. Her hands reached out, not to cling, just to connect. From across the table, my father sighed. That familiar exhale, the one he always used when the moment was no longer about him. "Still have a thing for dramatic entrances," he said with a tired smirk. "Gotta turn everything into a stage show." Only this time the audience didn't laugh. They weren't even watching him anymore. The room didn't break. It bent like summer heat off pavement. Uneasy. Distorted. Real. My mother clutched the envelope like it anchored her to the ground. Her mouth opened again, but the words didn't come yet. Not because she didn't have them, but because something old was cracking. Delia's fork was still frozen on her plate. Her sons had gone still, watching the adults like they'd stumbled into a grown-up secret. Miles didn't move. His fingers were curled around his water glass, knuckles pale. And he was looking straight at me. Not stunned. Not ashamed. Just present. Then he stood. Not in anger. Not for applause. He rose like someone who had waited long enough to say something true. "She didn't come here to steal the spotlight," he said, his voice quiet but razor clear. "You did." My father blinked. A cousin leaned in, unsure if they should intervene. Miles didn't stop. "That's Harper Quinn," he continued. "Co-founder and COO of Skyrail. One of the most impactful logistics companies in the country. She didn't just make it, She built something that people respect. I'm here because I chose to be part of what she's creating. Now every face turned. Some toward me. Some toward Delia. Her eyes flickered. Her face drained of its usual certainty. I applied to Skyrail before I even connected her name to yours, Miles went on. And when I realized, I wasn't just impressed. I was proud. He wasn't done. You talk about family like it's something carved in stone. But real family evolves, grows, learns how to make space. She didn't walk away. You made the door so narrow she had no choice but to fit somewhere else. Then he Saturday. No cheers. No gasps. Just stillness. Not silent, aware. I looked at my mother. She hadn't stopped watching me. Her hands still gripped the envelope. Her shoulders shook slightly. But she didn't cry. I turned to Delia. She wouldn't meet my gaze. Her lips were pursed, her stare fixed on the middle of her untouched water glass. Her boys looked down. But they understood more than she thought. My father was still. Not mad. Not sarcastic. Just still. And for the first time I saw him without armor. No role. No punchline. Just a man who'd realized he was no longer the center of the room. I grabbed my bag. I won't stay, I said softly to my mother. I just wanted to see you smile. She reached up, both hands squeezing mine like it meant something. You did, she whispered. As I walked out, my heels tapped softly. Not loud, but unmistakable. And this time, no one followed. No one tried to stop me. And that was okay. Because I didn't leave quietly. I left seen. That night I didn't cry. I peeled off my heels, ordered salmon from room service, and opened my laptop. The Skyrail Q2 forecast was outperforming projections. 2 new contracts had cleared legal. The numbers told me everything was steady. At 9:40 p.m. the front desk called. There's someone here asking for you. She says she's your mother. When she arrived, she was holding a plastic container wrapped in a dish towel. Inside, lemon bars. Her signature, uneven edges, sugar-dusted tops. Exactly as I remembered. She hesitated at the doorway like she wasn't sure if she was allowed inside. I stepped back and let her in. She looked around the room slowly, like she was seeing a life she had only imagined from photos. You always liked tidy spaces, she said. You always liked sugar, I replied. We smiled, not wide. Not forced. Just enough. We didn't talk about the dinner. Not yet. We talked about Alaska. I described the small ship I chose, less shopping, more sky. She asked questions. Specific ones. Thoughtful ones. Then she looked down, folded her hands, and her voice dropped. I didn't know how much you carried all these years. No one asked, I said. She didn't deny it. She nodded. We kept you small because it made you easier to fit in. That was wrong. I didn't rush to forgive her. But I didn't push her away either. She asked if she could visit Portland sometime. I said yes. 4 days later, Delia called. I paused before answering. No small talk. Just words tumbling out. Miles had told her everything. Not just what he said, but how he described me after. How I led. How I stood still in the storm. She said, I never thought of you as strong. Just stubborn. Then her voice cracked. I thought you abandoned us. But now maybe you escaped. I let her speak. Let the silence fill the space between who we were and who we could be. I used to resent you, she said. You became something. I stayed still. It made me feel small. You're not small, I told her. You're just still becoming. She exhaled, soft and long. Mom wants to visit. Maybe I do too. I said. You're both welcome. Right before she hung up, she whispered. I'm proud of you. Not for what you built, but because you never made me feel less, even when I tried to make you feel invisible. When I returned to Portland that Friday, there was an envelope waiting at the front desk. No return address. Just my name in his handwriting. Inside, a single page. You turned out different than I expected. Maybe even better. I don't know how to say sorry for the ways I dismissed you. Maybe I don't deserve to. But your mom says you're building something real. I believe her. You always had that stubborn streak. I mistook it for rebellion. Turns out it was vision. No signature. No sentiment. But for him, maybe that was love. That summer, I bought a home in Marin County. Nothing flashy. Just sunlight, old trees, and a view of the water that turned silver at dusk. On move-in day, my team surprised me with a gift. A canvas print, bold letters against midnight blue. Build so well they can't look away. A quote I'd once said half asleep during a planning call. Below it, in a smaller frame, a yellow sticky note, faded and curling. 4 words in Miles' handwriting. She's my boss. I never asked who saved it. I just knew it mattered. Because it came from someone who once stood on the other side of the silence and spoke anyway. The real story wasn't that I showed up. It's that I stayed long enough for the silence to shatter on its own. I didn't fight for a seat at the table. I built one. And left the door unlocked. 5 years later, on my mother's 65th, we hosted a dinner on my patio. String lights. Jazz. Laughter. Delia brought the cake. Miles ran the slideshow. My father sat in the corner, quiet but there. Later, he walked over, hands buried in his jacket. He handed me a photo. Me, age 10, surrounded by showboxes and tape. Smart Moves Incorporated scrawled in red marker. On the back, he'd written, "Turns out you always knew." We stood there. Not as enemies. Not quite family. Just people finally seeing each other. I didn't return for forgiveness. I returned so no one could say I vanished. I didn't need a welcome. I just needed the truth to stay in the room after I walked out. Have you ever returned, not to be accepted, but just to prove you never truly left? If this story echoes anything you've felt but never spoken, leave just one word below. We'll understand.